Are you guys ready?
Oh. Yeah, I'm ready.
You're totally ready, and I wasn't. Okay. All right, go for it.
Okay, so in the polls, you guys said that you were about 50-50 on for or against nuclear energy, and I think that's great because most of you I don't have to persuade. But, okay, what is nuclear power to begin with? There are two kinds, fusion and fission. Fusion is where you bring the atoms together to create energy, and fission is where you tear them apart, basically, to create energy. Who uses it? Most countries use it for energy as an alternative power source. And how effective is it? It's actually very effective. It's very powerful. We can get a lot of energy from it, but it's also very dangerous and has many negative consequences. Is it dangerous? This is the biggest question. Yes, it is. There are nuclear meltdowns that have happened all across the world, in Fukushima, in 3 Mile Island, and other places. And this will cause toxic radiation. It's a chronic consequence of meltdowns, and it can be around for ages, and it can affect entire areas. It can make people move, have to evacuate their homes, and waste hazards also. In toxic radiation situations, it can seep into the ground and into the water table and travel for miles and affect everyone within that mile radius of where it seeped into the water. And there are examples of where there have been spills into rivers, and all rivers downstream from where it spilled, it killed all the animals, it created the growth of moss and whatnot. And radiation pollution is kind of basically the same thing. 3 Mile Island is one of these situations where it's right here. The facility had exploded basically because there was faulty engineering and the employees weren't looking out for the mechanics of it, and it exploded, and the radiation from it went into the river behind the facility and infected it and traveled downstream for miles, and they had to evacuate cities on the far end, and it was very dangerous. A lot of people got injured or got infected by the radiation. And then this picture is of Fukushima. It happened in Japan when they had an earthquake and a tsunami at the same time, and it took out their nuclear facility. And that toxic waste has slowly been drifting across the ocean and is now infecting us on our California coast. What is being done today? Well, like I said, it's efficient. It's a good source of energy. It's just not. It's still dangerous. It's not to its potential yet. Scientists are studying the nuclear energy and the uranium that it takes to create the facilities. And renewable energy is what nuclear energy is, and it's being researched so that maybe we can use other things instead of nuclear energy, which would be ideal. But we are now leading the race in who is using nuclear energy, and not everyone's happy about that. But as you can see, some places like Sweden is having protests because their nuclear energy facility had a meltdown, and they've been trying to get it back up, but the citizens have been protesting it because it infected their city and is not good for them. But what's the big deal? Like, why should we fix it? I mean, there are cases, but there's not many. There are a lot of nuclear sites that are okay still. Well, if we didn't do anything and if we just let it, go on about as it is, we could have more incidents where nuclear sites melt down and whatnot. And we could also have waste buildup, and this is a big point because we don't have anywhere to put our waste right now. Right now we're putting it into containers and storing it into warehouses. And there's also a movement to store it into a mountain in Nevada, but that was put under the rug after the Nevada governor and the people protested and said it would not be good for their environment and whatnot. And other people have said that they should shoot it into space, into the sun. Well, yeah, that'd probably be pretty expensive. But so that's one thing. And then also toxic seepage, as I said, going into the ground. So a lot of things could happen if we don't change our ways right now. What can you do? You can join protests, you can join marches. There's some all over the world. There's a lot in America. There's some in New York, Chicago. big cities like that. You can write letters to governments or big businesses that are trying to advocate for nuclear energy sites. You can donate to the research so that people can actually know what they're dealing with instead of just going about by their old research and not having the funds to advance their knowledge and be more safe. And you can join social forums. And I think that's it.